Get started.
Addresses that are going to give you information that'll help you. Put that in that file. Put it in that file. You ever sit in the dentist's office and read his year-and-a-half-old magazine? Yeah. There's more than once I've gone up to the guy as he's got my mouth open. I kind of had a little talk at him. I say, there's an article out there in such and such book that's a year and a half old out there. May I have that page? Sure. If you're lucky and have a scanner, guess what you can do with it? If you're not, you got a file cabinet. Anywhere you can get that information, do it. You're reading a commentary on Colossians. Now, what's the natural matchup on this one? Ephesians? You get information on one, will it work well on the other? Yeah, it will. Catalog it in both places. Make it in both places. If you're doing it out of your library, then I suggest you get a good library. I was very fortunate when I left the business world. I settled my retirement account with them, and I went to a preacher school, and the first thing I did was buy $2,000 worth of books. I went to all the instructors and got their recommendations and bought all those books. Oh, am I happy with that? I've got them. And right now I'm approaching 2,000 books. A lot more where? On the web. On the web. So, get books. But when you do, don't say, in this commentary, there's a great section on this. Put the page number. If you don't, sometimes those are buried inside of other things, and you'll miss it completely. I told you I was going to work with nuts and bolts, didn't I? That's where we're going to be. All right. There's another thing you need to do on your computer. And this is very important also. You need to have an illustration file. Did you hear, outside of this message, any old illustrations so far? They've been current, haven't they? They've been up to date, and they've been current. Well, you can do the same thing, but you need to constantly be looking for illustrations. And I stress constantly. Every time you see something, say, wow, that'll work. Then how quickly do you forget it? There's one that I can tell you about back in Denver, 1970s. Does that date me a little bit? Going out to the dump. Big old green sign, looks like the interstate signs. It says, keep your trash covered. Anybody see an illustration? Write it down. Always in my pocket. Always. And a pen. Write it down, or you will forget it. I promise you. Write it down. When you're using illustrations, stay away from yourself. You can always become third person, can't you? I know of a situation. I knew of a man once. Can't you do that? Yeah. Because if you preach me sermons, how soon are the brethren going to be tired of listening to you? Fairly fairly quickly. It's almost time for you to come up and talk to me. So, stay away from that kind of thing. Use illustrations. Use current illustrations. Now, another nut and bolt. Read. 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 You get my message yet? Read. Anything, everything except those X-rated things off over there we never touch anyway. But read. It's going to do wonders for your teaching and for your preaching. Lots of reading. No economics. Yeah, I minored in accounting. I shudder when I think about it. I majored in actuary science. That's nothing but pure math. I shudder about that today. I've got a better job. But no economics, no politics, right? Even though you're not going to be preaching on politics, you've got to know what's going on around you. Did you hear that yesterday? You did, didn't you? You've got to know what's going on around you. I have detested the name Dewey since the 1950s. Now, if any of you were listening last night, you know that name. And what he's done to our educational system. And I wasn't preaching then. I did not become a Christian until I was 37. Didn't go to a preacher school until I was 39. I'm no man. But be careful. Read, 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 read. I still read, even though I have glasses for reading, between 300 and 500 pages a week, non-biblical study, to broaden my mind, to help in my illustrations. Boy, you can't get any better sources than that. Read, read, read. No sports. Oh, yeah. A lot of us know that. But know that too. I'm not a sports enthusiast. I was not a team man that way. What was my forte? Tennis. I played all by myself. Got defeated all by myself too. No current events, constantly. When you walk into a little shop to get a haircut, does the barber know almost anything you want to talk about? Does it? Should you not be the same way? Should you not be the same way? No. All of it. So at least you've got a little smattering and you can get it worked into your messages. So be like him that way. Know it. Know all kinds of subjects. And it's going to improve your IQ. We don't worry much about that. Well, what is IQ? It's nothing but knowing words. Knowing what they mean when you take an IQ test, that's essentially what it boils down to before it's all over. You know words. Don't speak over your audience. And if you have to use a big word with more than 2 syllables, you may have to identify it for them. Do it. There's a time or two when you're going to have to. Sometimes you're going to have to mispronounce words to get your message across. Let me give you a good illustration. How many of us like that word providence? Let's mispronounce it so that you understand it. Providence. So when you go to discuss God's providence, use God's providence, and what's going to happen in the minds of your hearers? Bingo. They understand. Easy. But you've got to know those things. You've got to be able to help. Stay away from slang. Stay away from it. Oh, it may be catchy for the young, and they not so young, some of you 40, 50. It may be catchy, but stay away from it. Pulpit is not the place for that. It is not the place for that. Unacceptable, common, everyday language that you hear on the television should never come from the pulpit. Never. Never should. Do word studies. Again, I get to going along and I say, ooh, I wonder what that means. Another illustration. I knew a lady once that got quite old, and she was cantankerous. You know that word? And her name was Irene. What does the word Irene mean in Greek? Peaceful. A little different. A little different, but can you use that in an illustration somewhere in a sermon? Yeah, yes you can. Study the Greek. Study the Hebrew if you can. Get somebody that will mentor you. Somebody who is knowledgeable. I used three basically in my life: Roy Lanier Sr., Norman Gibson, and another Norman, Starling. They helped me immensely because they would tell me the truth. Does that include your wife? Mm-hmm. Have her critique your messages. If you want to, give her a basic outline and let her fill it in listening to you. And then make comments about it. Will that help you? Will that help the people? Yes. And remember, you asked for it when they gave you a negative. Criticism is not a bad word. It's not a bad word. It's originally a good word. We've just made it sound bad. But take criticism. Ask for criticism. Don't be afraid to do it. So I'm back where I started. Don't be a hireling. Be God's man who happens to be a member of this congregation, who loves these people, and you want to spend eternity with them. Amen? Amen. Thank you.
congregation where I preached. Her body had become very frail. She decided that she couldn't go through it anymore, and so I went with one of my elders to pay her and her family a visit. Somehow it happened in the course of our time visiting there that everyone else had migrated to some other part of the house. She and I were left sitting alone in the area. We just sat there quietly for a couple of minutes, and then she spoke in a tremulous voice, and she just asked this question. She said, "It's okay to be just a little bit." So I went.